pa, bim biddy bim bim, biddy 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 bim, bam, bim biddy pa, bim biddy bim bim pa. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. My name is Barry Nicholsberg. I have the honor to be the cantorial soloist here at Temple Beth David. And moments as we were getting started, my binder fell apart. And it didn't give me much of a chance to say hello, but here I am. It's back together, I guess. I hope I could just put it in the right order. I'd like to thank you very much for being with us here at Temple Beth David. We are located in Snellville, Georgia. We are just outside of Atlanta. As we get started with this evening's service, let me thank Bobby Horowitz, my right arm, my wingman, vice president of the synagogue, and lead guitarist. And tonight, the only guitarist. I'd also like to thank my wife, Jeannie Nicholsberg, who is out there right now in the back making sure that this streams to you. And Judy Kern, who is our president, our board president, she is also working as a streaming specialist tonight. So, this only looks disjointed. It's really not. Where was I last Shabbat? Where was I physically and spiritually? Was I rushed? Did I savor the coming of Shabbat? What's happened in the 6 days past? They go so quickly that I can hardly take notice. What kind of person was I this week? Was I thoughtful? Was I superficial? Was I preoccupied? Was I appreciative? Did I laugh? Did I cry? Did I tell anyone how much I love him or her? Did I use my week well? And quite frankly, I don't even know what that means. What lessons will I take with me into the future? As I enter Shabbat, I release the past week, its joys and its sorrows. I free myself from any misgivings or guilt. I am ready to look for new happiness and bring the best of me to new experiences during the week to come. I'd like you please to turn to page 120 and 121 as Jeannie leads us in the candle lighting, page 120 and 121.
Creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their heart. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. There's a striker there.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Would you please turn to page 138 and join us in singing Lecha Dodi? I just have no idea which one you're going to play.
Let's do the one we did last week.
La 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 Lecha Dodi, la 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 Likrat Kala, la 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 Pnei Shabbat. Shabbat nikavena Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad Ishmiyanu el hanucha Adonai echad L'shem tiferet Galati la 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 Lecha Dodi la 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 Likrat Kala la 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 Pnei Shabbat nikavena Kiva orech Kivod Adonai Alayich la 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 Lecha Dodi la 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 Likrat Kala la 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 Pnei Shabbat nikavena. We go to the last verse to welcome the Sabbath bride. Please rise physically or psychologically, face the door you came in to welcome the Sabbath bride. Bori v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha utzola tochem Here we go. Let's greet her. Boi chala, la 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 Lecha Dodi, la 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 Likrat Kala, la 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 Pnei Shabbat nikah. Pnei Shabbat nikah, Pnei Shabbat nikah. Please be seated. I would invite you to turn to page 144. And I will ask Bobby Horowitz to lead us in the Reader's Kaddish. Page 144.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'amad yivarach Yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechonu v'yomechon uv'chai d'chol Beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uvizman kariv, v'yimeru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach, le'alam ulal me'al maya, yitbarach, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitbar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, V'yithadar, v'yitale, v'yitalal, Shemei d'Kudesha B'richu, Le'ela min kol b'chata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, Damiran b'yama, v'yimeru, amen.
Please turn to page 146. Rise physically and or spiritually as we have our call to worship, the Baruch Hu. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMivorach. Baruch Adonai HaMivorach. HaMivorach le'olam va'ed. HaMivorach, HaMivorach le'olam va'ed. Please be seated. Would you please turn to the bottom of page 148. And read along with me, starting with Blessed are you. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzavot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Amariv. Aravi. On the bottom of page 150, starting with everlasting love, please join me in reading. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Amo Yisrael. I invite you to turn to page 152 and rise for the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Please be seated. Would you please turn to page 154? Join me or follow along as I chant the V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol miotecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh Asher Anochi Mitzavecha Hayom Alevavecha V'shinatam Levanecha V'dibartar bam B'shivtecha B'veitecha U'v'leptecha B'derech U'b'shovtecha U'v'kumecha U'kshartam le'ot al yadecha V'hayu l'totafot ben einecha Uchtabtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha Leman tiskaru ve'asitem ekel mitzvotai v'yitem geroshim leloechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeichem mieretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim Ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. If you will turn to page 156, Bobby is going to lead in reading, starting with All This We Hold.
All this we hold to be true and trustworthy for us. You alone are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You are our sovereign and Savior, who delivers us from oppressors' hands and saves us from tyrants' fists. You work wonders without numbers, marvels beyond count. You give us life and steady our footsteps. You performed miracles for us before Pharaoh, signs and wonders in the land of the Egyptians. You led your people Israel out from their midst to freedom for all time. When your children witnessed your dominance, they praised your name in gratitude, and they accepted your sovereignty. Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang to you together, lifting their voices joyously.
Page 158. Read along with Bobby, please, starting with Who is Like You?
Who is like you, O God, among the gods that are worshipped? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, working wonders? Your children witnessed your sovereignty, the sea splitting before Moses and Miriam. This is our God, they cried. Adonai will reign forever and ever. Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
Would you please stay on page 158 and join us in singing Mi Chamocha? Ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot ose fele, Nora tehilot ose fele.
מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקי היום לפני משה ומרים, שאלינו ויאמרו, שאלינו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, כמוך נדבר קודש, נורא תהילות עושי פלא, נורא תהילות עושי פלא.
Those of you who have been with us for a long time know that the next piece we will sing is Hashkivenu, and we will. But I found something this week, preparing for the Devar, that really felt like it belonged right here. And so I'd like to talk about it for a moment. Rabbi Karen Kadar wrote the following poem. I await those rare times when my heart I await those rare times when my heart spills its weight like the Big Dipper into darkness. This is faith. What is seen is velvet black and quiet and still, and yes. And then, for a moment, until the dawn impatiently shakes off the silence, the night reveals its secrets. Jacob, this is, when we get there, I know this is probably ending the suspense that you would hope for in the Devar, but this is the very last chapter, Parshat of Genesis. And so in this particular Parsha, Jacob dies, as does Joseph. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a while. But we know the story. Jacob enters into the twilight of his life. You know the time. When shadow and light commingle, the eyes dim, and the light within becomes ever so bright with perspective, understanding, and blessing. And he asked his son Joseph for grace, this is Jacob, and loyalty and truth, and made him a promise that his final resting place would be in the land of his fathers, the land of abundant blessing. Jacob turned the powerful yet intimate presence of God. For it is in this presence that hovers above the pillow of the dying. And he lay upon his bed, not here, not there. We call that moment in between goses. In its simplicity, it means dying. But for those of us who've sat by the bed of a person as the light dims, the time between breaths grow long. The body becomes small upon the bed. We who have witnessed the moment of transition know this. We feel the soul lift slightly, then return, then lift and return, as if this magnetic presence slowly drawing the life force into itself, into all that is eternal. That is why every night we pray the Hashkivenu. Page 160.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu V'shalom, V'shalom, V'hamidenu Malkeinu L'chaim. Ufrosalenu Sukat Shlomecha, Ufrosalenu Sukat Shlomecha. Amen.
Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. Please sing with us.
Amen. Amen.
Page 162. Would you join me in reading, starting in the middle of the page, the people of Israel? The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat. Observing Shabbat throughout the ages is a covenant for all time. It is a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he ceased from work and was refreshed. Let's do Yismechu tonight. I'm sorry, yes, page 162. Yismechu b'malechutecha
Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'koreh Oneg Shabbat.
Yismechu b'malechutecha
Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'koreh Oneg Shabbat.
Mikadeshei, Mikadeshei Shevi Shabbat. Kulam Yisbe'o Vayitanu Mitu Becha Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha
Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'koreh Oneg Shabbat. Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'koreh Oneg Shabbat.
Ratzita bo v'kidash kol Shabbat Chemdar Yamin Oto karata Shabbat b'malechutecha
Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'koreh Oneg Shabbat.
b'malechutecha
Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'koreh Oneg Shabbat.
Lema'ase v'reishi Shabbat Zecher Lema'ase v'reishi Shabbat Yismechu b'malechutecha
Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'koreh Oneg Shabbat.
Yismechu b'malechutecha
Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'koreh Oneg Shabbat.
Would you please turn to page 164 and rise for the standing prayer, the tefillah. Hanananananana Adonai, Hananananana Satai Tiftach, Hananananana Ufiagi, Ufiagi Tahilatecha, Hananananana Adonai, Hananananana Satai Tiftach, Hananananana Ufiagi, Ufiagi Tahilatecha, Hananananana Adonai, Hananananana Satai Tiftach, Hananananana Ufiagi, Ufiagi Tahilatecha. Page 166. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Elohei Zipah, Elohei Bilhah, Elohei Tamar, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot ve'Imahot U'Megula Livnei B'neihem L'ma'an Shemo B'Yahava Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham V'Yetzrat Sarah. Page 168. Ata gibor leolam Adonai, Michaye hakal atarab leoshiha, Mashiv haruach umorid hagashem, Michakel chayim bechesed, Michaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somif noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asorim, Kayem unato lishenei afar michamocha bal giburot umido melach melech memit umechaye umatzmiya mitshua v'ne'emanat alechayot ha'akol Baruch atah Adonai mechaye ha'akol. Page 170. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el ha'kadosh. Please be seated. Page 181. We reach for you, our God, from our quiet places. May we stand still for a brief moment and listen to the rain. Stand still for a brief moment and watch the play of sunlight and shadow on the leaves. For a brief moment, listen to the world. Let us stop the wheels of every day to be aware of Shabbat. Find the stillness in this sanctuary, which the soul cherished. Renew the covenant of an ancient people. We need a quiet space to test the balance of our days, the weight of our deeds against the heaviness of the world's demands. The balance is precarious. Steady us with faith. Quiet places and stillness where we will hear our own best impulses speak. Quiet places and stillness from which we will reach out to each other. We will find strength in silence, and with this strength, we will turn again to your service. Please join me in praying silently. page 374. Eitz Chaim Hi.
Eitz Chaim Hi L'machazikim bach V'tomecheha Me'ushar Deracheha Darchei Noam V'chol Netivoteiha Shalom Ashiveinu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chadesh yameinu k'kedem Eitz Chaim Hi L'machazikim bach V'tomecheha Me'ushar Deracheha Darchei Noam V'chol Netivoteiha Shalom Ashireinu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chadesh yameinu k'kedem.
Bobby, of all the pieces we do together, I like that one best. There's just something magical about it, quite frankly. I'm going to ask you, please, Bobby, can we do Anna Ilna?
Sure.
Okay. We're going to do that. I don't know that there's a page number for it.
There isn't, probably not.
Beg the power of love to heal her. I ask the power of love. Please heal her. about you, but it's spiritual to me. Would you turn to page 371? I'm going to read this to you because I am adding Zilpah, Bilhah, and Tamar. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, Leah, Zilpah, Bilhah, Tamar, bless and heal those who are ill. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us say, Amen. If you have names you would like to add to this week's Mishaberach list, please type them in the chat box and Jeannie will read them.
Sarah Gambrell, Katie Walmer, Morris and Felice Friedman, Lady Bird Marlowe, Peter Yarrow, Sandy Steinberger, Katie Fink, Bob Kersner, all those still suffering from COVID-19 and those suffering the effects of the tornadoes. Bobby Crone, Susan Ellers, Ann Olin, Susie Horowitz, Ronnie Edgars, Barb Yarborough, Rosa Dubois, Cameron Turner, Alex Schickman, Katie Berry, J.J. Roche, Jody Comfort, Emily Holler, Rebecca Hildendorf, Oscar Hopkins, Irene Namer, Sam Namer, Dawn St. Clair, Lainey Roan, Laurie Malcolm Walker, Charlotte Rezek, Linda Ehrenstaff, Marcy Schulman, Nina Schulman, Joe Wagner, Sherry Silver, Barbara Frank, Tanya Hurst, Penny Elliott, Lisa Miller, Sandy Tejan, Rita Bryant, Eddie Young, Arlen and David Conley, Mike Roth, Dennis Sadler, Lisa Ann Gaston, Patty Beeman, Leanne Dillard, Eldo Hartz.
Thank you. Judy, do you have anyone you'd like to add? Officer Mendez, do you have anyone you would like to add to this week's Mishaberach list? Pray for their health. Wendy? Jackie?
Ronnie?
Any? Bobby?
Bobby Crone, Ronnie Eggers, Susie Horowitz, Ann Olin, Edwin Speck, Andrew Wheeler.
We also pray for Andrew St. Clair, who I hope is back with us soon, Wendy Fine, Heather Murray, Kenny Woodruff, Shelley Perkle, Teresa Martin, Robin Van Loo, Joanne Stein, Kevin Middleton, Brenda Gibson, Mickey D'Amato, Peter Yarrow, Anya Polara, Ben DeSalvo, Marie Plakos, Joe Vargas, and especially to Kevin Mendez, who is keeping us safe tonight, but that is just for an hour or so. He spends every working minute putting his life on the line for us. For that, thank you, sir. Yes, indeed. As a paramedic, I have worked Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, obviously, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and it's just ridiculous. People do stupid things. Please don't do stupid things. And among the top of those not stupid things is avoiding a vaccination to keep safe from COVID. With that, Bobby, I turn to you. Let us sing Misha Berach.
Misha Avotenu Mikor HaBrecha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishevera imotenu mikor habrecha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Which brings us this evening to the Devar, where we talk about this week's Parsha, that part of the Torah which around the world, those who are reading the Torah will read this Parsha this week. And having done this for a few years now, I have to admit that it's kind of easy. I just have to pull out an old Devar and read it and be done. But I've never done that. I have always looked for the not so obvious in this week's Devar, and this week is no exception to that. See, this is where Jacob dies and asks that his bones be brought back to Canaan. It's his son Joseph dies and asks that his bones be returned to Canaan. They have been, they were, and they are resting in Hebron. It was quite an experience being in Hebron, but that's a different Devar. So we close out the book of Genesis for another year. Tonight, I really want to talk about loving kindness, because that is another piece, a very, very important piece of this Parsha. If we just get hung up on who died and where the bones got placed, we're missing a bigger picture. Yes, we have to remember those things, but there are other things to know and remember. That word, remember, memory, keeps coming back again. Let me explain what loving kindness is. It's when you do something for someone else with no expectation at all that it will be returned. Pretty straightforward. But when can we do that? When can we be absolutely certain that it won't be returned? The rabbis in the past said that the mitzvah of caring for the dead is the true loving kindness. We are powerless to enforce our deathbed wishes. And so we can only request of others to comply with those wishes. True loving kindness is performed without any expectation of reciprocity, and thus is the ultimate act of true loving kindness, caring for the dead. These are not acts of reciprocity. Neither Jacob nor Joseph nor Moses were able to return the favor, but rather cases in which one acts of loving kindness generates others. And that's the key. We pay it forward. When someone does an act of loving kindness for you, you want to find a way to pay him back. But to reciprocate is impossible. So just let it go. The way you ultimately pay back people for acts of loving kindness is provide acts of loving kindness for other people. Teach them how to do it. Model for them the best way in which to live. In this week's Parsha, Benjamin, the youngest son of Jacob, he's framed by his brother, without knowing it was his brother, for a crime he didn't commit. Then his brothers plead on his behalf, explaining that Jacob loves Benjamin so much that he will die if he loses him. Think about that for just a second. These are the same brothers who decades earlier threw Joseph into a well, pulled him out, sold him as a slave, and sent him off for all time to Egypt. Little could they know they were actually speaking with their brother Joseph at that moment, pleading with him, saying, please, just take us, leave him. He didn't do this. Joseph is haunted by the memory of what his brothers had done to him. And he had to test his brothers before he could trust them. He didn't reveal his true identity until he had determined that they had truly and deeply changed. And this act of saying, take us, leave Benjamin, please, our father will die if he doesn't come home, proves to Joseph that they really have changed. Here's the problem. Generations before Egypt will turn on the Israelites. Jacob demands to be buried elsewhere. He wants to rest with his family. Likewise, when Joseph dies, he too wants to be buried in the same place. It's their family. It's their history. This, again, shows us the power of memory, of remembering. All the good that Joseph did to prepare Egypt for the famine and secure a bright future for that nation was buried along with him. Because this connection was forgotten, instead of seeing the increased number of Israelites in their midst as allies, Pharaoh saw them as potential enemies and enslaved them to maintain control. This too shows us the power of memory and the high cost of forgetting the past. Memory is a powerful tool and an asset. It can instruct us, it can inspire us. But memory can also be a crutch. If we rest on the laurels of legacy, trusting too much that Joseph's good actions in Egypt would forever purchase good grace for all Israelites, we do so at our own peril. Memories fade. They must be paired with ongoing action. Memory is vitally important for all of us as Jews. and for us as members of a modern secular culture. We must be careful, however, not to depend solely on memory. For my generation, we were taught never forget. It meant never forget the Holocaust. It was so much a part of my upbringing, I really didn't think much about it. It was, of course. But it has troubled me endlessly that we seem to have a collective memory lapse. Well, it's not okay if you enslave us as Jews, but if you want to enslave those people, they're Muslims, it's not my problem. It's just not my problem. There were a lot of Jews who stood shoulder to shoulder with black Americans during the worst of times in this country to say, we will not forget. It's time for us to stand up and be counted among those who say, what's right is right. Not only will I tell it to your face, but I will teach it to my children and their children and their children, and we will not allow memory to fade. What do we do on Passover? We all know the story, and we rejoice in passing it along. It's not all. We're not sorry. Oh, well, we did Passover, so we don't have to do anything else. You know, we're free for the rest of the year. Okay, I did my thing. Thanks, bye. It doesn't work like that. If we're never going to forget, then we have to remember. And memory alone doesn't do it. We have to take memory and present actions to constantly reinforce that memory. We cannot expect ourselves or our descendants or society at large to automatically remember what we think should be remembered or deem it important, that which we deem important. Our current actions speak more to those around us than any history ever could. May we take it upon ourselves to hold fast to our cultural memories and to honor them most meaningfully by allowing them to shape how we interact with the world every day. Shabbat Shalom. Please turn to page 586. I'm going to ask Jackie Horowitz to come forward and help me in opening the parachot and later on in closing the ark. You can just open the curtain. Got it. Yes, that's it. Perfect. Thank you. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה שלא שם חלקנו כהם בגורלנו ככל המונה ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שרונות השמיים הארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל ושינתו זו בגוהי מרומים הוא אלוהינו אהוב אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו ככתוב betorato, viadata yom vehashivota elevavecha.
Ki Adonai hu Elohim, v'shamayim imah.
V'al ha'aretz mitachat eino. Page 588. For you spread out the heavens and established the earth. Your majestic abode is in the heavens above, and your mighty presence is in the loftiest heights. You are our God, and there's none else. In truth, you are our sovereign without compare, as is written in your Torah. Know then this day, and take it to heart, that Adonai is surely God in the heavens above, and on the earth below. There is none else. Page 591. V'nemar Haya Adonai lamelech al kol haaretz bayom ha'ho yeh Adonai U'shemo Well, I just learned a secret that has been kept from me the whole time I've been here at Temple Beth David. I had no idea that your wife had such a beautiful voice. If there's a High Holy Day choir, I may have to recruit the whole family. Page 592. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. When you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give to me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. We have a tradition here at Temple Beth David, which quite frankly I'm sick and tired of. But I will continue this tradition as long as necessary. We normally only chant El Malei Rachamim during a yurtzeit service at a graveside. That's about it. But ever since people started dying of COVID, we've been chanting this every Friday night for those people who have perished needlessly just in the past week. And sometimes we call out a name or two, as I will do this evening. El Malei Rachamim. El Malei Rachamim. Shachein Baromim. Hamsei Menucha Nechona. Tacha Kanfei. HaShekhinah. Im Kedoshim Atihoreim Kezohar Harakia Masirim haba'im Lanishmot Richard Eggers Yakireinu Shahalchu Le'olamam Bal Harachamim Yasti Rembesefter Kinofav Leolamim Bitror HaChaim et Nishmatam Adonai Hu Nachalatam Yanu b'shalom hamishkavam b'nomar Amen. I'm ready to stop chanting that any time now. Page 599. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. Of them all we say, Zichronam livracha. May their memories always be for a blessing. If you are in a period of Shiva, the first 7 days since someone passed, please let us know the name. If you're in a period of Shloshim, the first 30 days since someone passed, please. We remember Mickey Kroll and Linda Nelson. Zibrocham livracha. We remember the following from this synagogue who have passed in years past. Richard Eggers, Sylvia Fletcher, Isaac Andrews, Barbara Dimkowski, and Barbara Weiss. We also remember Joel Kellner, Daniel Jacob Horowitz, Emilia Gress, Marcia Manishin, Irma Schiller, Phyllis Blooming, Daniel Joseph Middleton, Larry Kramer, David Yarborough, Sylvia Cart, Rossi Davis, Laura Russiak-Rosen, Louis Jutsi, Michael Bernard, Annette Carter, Edna Dockerman, Robert Diskin, Erwin Finkelman. If there are any other names you would like to add to this week's list, please let me know now. I would invite you all to rise as a congregation of one as we join those in mourning and remember collectively. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'yalma divrach l'rutei v'yamlil malchutei b'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael b'hagala u'bizman kariv imru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam alnei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yithalev v'yithalal shemed k'dusha b'rechu le'elamim kol b'chata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechemata gamiran b'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min Shamayim v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imroma Uya aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and all Israel. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. So I've come to a part where I'm conflicted. We've gone past an hour because of me, no doubt. And we would normally sing Oseh Shalom, which I love doing, but I'm afraid it's just going to keep people even longer. And since I believe that the mind can only absorb what the backside can withstand, I think it's best that we move right along to announcements and finish up. Jeannie, are there any announcements this evening?
Announcements, Jeannie? Yeah. Announcements?
Sorry. Continue to read your emails for announcements and event details. Please cast your vote for members of the Rabbi Selection Committee. Details were sent by mail on last Wednesday, December 8th. Voting closes tonight. If you are able, please donate blood. There is an emergent need for all types, but especially Group O, to the point where the major suppliers are decreasing their standing orders to local hospitals. You can save lives. The level of COVID community transmission in Gwinnett County and surrounding areas has risen to high code red levels. CDC recommends that everyone wear masks indoors regardless of vaccine status. Please get vaccinated and boosted as you are eligible. Our thanks goes out to Officer Mendez, who is watching over us tonight.
Thank you. Now, what you just witnessed when I said, Jeannie, will you read the announcements? And she didn't hear me because she tunes me out. When I'm speaking, she just goes someplace else. I know this. She's my wife. I get that. I can't
No,
say
I
it's
have
her
to.
turn.
I have to stick up for Jeannie.
Oh, please.
She is monitoring the stream that's going out, and she's on a 2-minute delay.
Oh,
so
well.
when you say something, she won't hear it for another 2 minutes.
Yeah, and I think we've passed that point. Thank you for standing up for her.
I think you need a longer extension cord on your headset, too.
Bobby, you have any announcements? Anything? Okay. Anything? No. Okay. I just want to say that 24 hours ago, I never imagined I would be right here this evening. I have been suffering from some sort of thing in my mouth that really took over. I couldn't even open my mouth much at all. That was 24 hours ago. And then my dentist here sent me to a dentist over there who said, I know how to fix this. And 24 hours later, here I stand. Absolute miracle. If anybody ever says you need to go see an oral surgeon, don't delay. Best decision I made all week for sure. Would you please rise for the priestly blessing, and we will end the service with that.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May Adonai bless you and keep you.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha.
May Adonai shed light upon you and be gracious unto you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
May Adonai's face be lifted unto you and grant you peace.
V'yasem lecha shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.